Hi, my name is John, and today I'll be going through how you can stop making excuses and be a lot more accountable for your actions. Let's get into it.
Bing's Academy, where we learn and grow.
After an exam, has your child ever made up an excuse to help explain why they got the grade or achievement that they actually did? You are not alone. Lots of students and parents actually do this because they don't have a lot of accountability. In the society that we're currently living in, we are raised and cultivated in a way where we don't want to show others our weaknesses. And as a result, we create these excuses to not face the reality. This is a huge problem because we might say something like, I only performed this way because of XYZ, such as I wasn't prepared for the exam, the teacher didn't even cover the concepts in the actual exam, or didn't get a good night's rest the night before because the mom or the dad played music too loud, for instance, something crazy like that. So these are the excuses that students make all the time, and even you and I probably have made it a lot as well. But it is important to stamp this out and to resolve this, otherwise it can lead to dire consequences in the future. What I've realized is that as an individual, you are ultimately in charge of your own life. All your actions have consequences, and it's important for students to realize this. A lot of the top performing students and even top performing individuals in the world succeed because they have strong accountability. If something happens, they own up to it. They don't make excuses. That is what makes them so much better than the rest. Therefore, today I'll be going over 3 key strategies that you can actually use with your child to help build accountability for their actions. Let's get into it. The first thing you have to do is clearly explain the concept of accountability and introduce it with your child. So this is important because lots of students don't realize the importance of it, and that is why they can get away with it without any ramifications or consequences. Because if they're doing negative habits, for instance, and then get away with it, guess what? They're probably going to continue it. Therefore, at the beginning of the term or the beginning of the year, it is very important as a parent to sit down with your child and explain and introduce it and let them know the potential consequences behind that. So if they do unacceptable behavior such as not completing the homework, not going to school on time, or doing things that go against what is deemed acceptable, then it is important to have these consequences such as taking away Netflix time, reducing the amount of screen time. And when you are both on the same page about this, then you can actually achieve your goals a lot better as opposed to just bringing it up as on a case-by-case basis. That is why I recommend doing it at the beginning of the term or the beginning of the year, because it's kind of like a new page, new leaf, and it's a great way to introduce an entirely new system. Conversely, if they practice good student accountability by practicing good habits leading up to an exam or an assessment, then we should reward them disregarding the actual exam mark. And the reason why is because they might complete all the homework, they might study a lot, do all the readings and everything right, but the actual achievement or the grade in itself might not be to what we actually expected. And that's okay. This is going to happen the first few times because it is a learning process. And if you haven't practiced good student accountability before and you're only implementing it now, it is going to take some time before you see actionable results. However, do know that if you are consistent with this, then you actually will improve, and being accountable is the best way to actually do that. Also, it is very important to create a very positive environment. So if they are doing good things like completing the homework and things that are acceptable, then we should actually reward them. Don't make it monetary, but reward them in other ways. If they like reading, buy them another book, for instance. If they like playing some games and watching television in their downtime, you can actually increase the amount of screen time that they have. These are different ways to actually make sure that they are incentivized to continue with these healthy habits. The second strategy is to really stick with your rules. As a parent, you are going to find a lot of instances and situations where your child or children will come up to you with all these different types of excuses. They might say things like, oh mom, oh dad, just 5 more minutes please. Oh, I'm very tired, mom. Can I just do the homework the next day? And it's very important for you to be firm with these rules, because Once you push the boundaries once, they know they can get away with it and they'll continue pushing. So if that kind of happens, then refer back to the goals that you have aligned at the beginning of the, you first introduce the concept and saying that, hey, this is very important, and if you do things that go against it, then it's not going to settle right. Make sure to refer back to that. This is especially important if you have more than one child, because if you push the boundaries with one of your children, the other children are going to expect it. You can't play different sides and different situations for both of them. You want to make sure that you have strict rules for all of them and you stick with it. That is the best way that they can actually ensure that you guys will succeed in them being accountable in the future. A good way to actually ensure that you stick with this is to create a goal with your child. So when you create it with your child, you are both on the same page and you know exactly what you need to do to get to that goal. So if there is a situation that comes to be where if they create an excuse, or for instance, you might think that it's okay for them to not do that type of work for that day, for instance, or not complete that assignment on time, then you can refer back to the goal that you created together. By following the rules of that, you can help dictate the rules and decisions and what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. The very last strategy is to implement and work with the people around you. So as a parent, it's very important for you to work with your child's teacher as well as your personal tutor if you actually have one. And the reason for this is because as a parent, you are working, you're looking after your children, you have to do a lot of the chores. It's quite a lot of responsibility for just one person, which is why it's so important for you to integrate other people to ensure that we make the child and student accountable for their own actions. If the student didn't actually complete the homework on time, then as a teacher, they can actually give the parent a call. So this is a way for us to make sure that we are working together with different stakeholders to ensure that your child is accountable for their own actions and they know that there will be consequences if they don't actually complete that. And with all good things, you have to realize that it is going to take time before we see actionable results. But as a parent, don't stress, because you can have the freedom of thought and just knowing that this is going to work out in the long run and benefit your child immensely. So I think that's everything. I went over 3 key strategies that you can actually use to ensure that your child is accountable for their own actions. Number 1, it's to really make sure that they are aligned with their goal. Introduce the concept of student accountability and recognize how important it is. Number 2, it's very important to make sure that you create a goal with that child so that you are on the same page. And the very last one is to integrate multiple stakeholders, such as your teacher and your tutor, if you have one, to make sure that you are all working together to promote this concept of student accountability within your child. That's all. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.